Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and this Thursday's Wizbit's Random Topics. Now this week's topic is one that I've been wanting to talk about for a little while, and that is the PlayStation 5. How for me personally, it's been a massive disappointment. And there's a number of reasons for this. It's not necessarily because the console itself is bad, but we'll get into that as we talk along the video about the PlayStation 5 in general. In the meantime, if you happen to like this kind of content, gameplay chat, game hunts, all that kind of stuff, please take the time to consider subscribing to the channel. It's much appreciated. We've got lots of stuff going on in the future. There is also a membership option as well. You can support the channel from as little as 99p a month. Optional, it's not why I do this. Any money that comes back into the channel is automatically put towards giveaways in the future on the channel. Anyway, let's get into the PlayStation 5. So I got a PlayStation 5 like many other people, and unfortunately there was a lot of people that didn't have this luxury on day one. I remember watching the presentation for it and seeing the strange design. That was the sort of design I couldn't make my mind up straight away. Look at this strange object, this machine. What on earth have Sony gifted us with on this occasion? But yeah, pre-orders, I remember, was meant to go live the following morning. Now I'd registered my pre-interest with Smith's Toys and a couple of other retailers as well, just to try and get ahead of the curve. And literally the second that presentation finished, I got an email telling me pre-orders are now live. Much to my other half's dismay, I went straight out and pre-ordered it. You know, it's one of them impulse things. I didn't want to miss out. And to be honest with you, from that point of view, I'm quite glad that I did so. Because obviously PlayStation 5 was an absolute headache to get upon release. And for many months afterwards, you couldn't go into the shop, I don't think, for at least the first 12 months and pick up a PlayStation 5. Everything was just online based, and when it came into stock, it was gone. Just like that. People were snapping these items up regardless and just flogging them. Scalpers were in full effect. And the hype was real. I remember it came on the due date, whatever that was, November, I think November the 7th, something like that. And I remember phoning up my work saying I'll be late, I'm the only person at home. My delivery is due between 8 in the morning and 8:30. I'll be in about 45 minutes late. I remember it well. Didn't have time to savor the moment when it came. I just opened the box, had a quick look at it, took a picture, posted it for the world to know. I've got a PlayStation 5. Yeah, and went to work and had to basically come home that day. The anticipation was building all day. I just wanted to get home, and I think I picked up Miles Morales with it. And obviously you got your PlayStation 4 backlog as well that you can still play on it. But the real game that I wanted to test out was obviously the Astrobot game that came pre-included, built into the game, to the game console. And brilliant. It showed such a great future for the console. The way that the control pad could be used to its full potential. And it was a real joy to play through that game. Showed you everything you could do with that control pad. It was essentially a tech demo, but a brilliant one. It was a very short game, but that was fine. It still took a couple of hours, and every second of that gameplay experience was really good. So I was quite hopeful of what the PlayStation 5 could bring. Now, in hindsight, I was probably a little bit naive because a lot of my gaming tastes lay in the past. And that has been the case since probably the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 eras. Now don't get me wrong, I still absolutely love a lot of games from them eras. Absolutely some great titles I'll still play to this day and always will. Games were changing. games were getting longer, and you know, I just don't have the time to sit and put 70 to 80 hours into a game at this stage of my life. I understand that people do, and brilliant, you're getting to enjoy some fantastic stuff. I'm totally sure of that. I don't. So in hindsight, I don't know. I just thinking like, maybe I was a little bit too excited for what the PlayStation was going to bring to me on a personal level. I picked up a few games. I can't remember what now. I remember picking up Devil May Cry 5 not too long after it released. A few other bits and bobs. But to be honest with you, nothing blew me away. Absolutely nothing. Did it look better than the PlayStation 4? Yeah. But I don't think we're ever going to get that sort of generational leap that we had back with the PlayStation 1 to the 2, or the 16-bit era to the PlayStation era, etc. I don't think that is possible anymore. We're at the stage now where games are so realistic that what more can you do without actually having a supercomputer in your front room? So as time went on, I slowly learned, and really again, a bit naive of me here, I should have realised this in advance, is that this current generation of gaming, and that includes the Xbox Series X, is basically a decent PC with less hassle. That is this generation summed up for me. My PlayStation 5 was laid doormat for absolutely ages. I was sitting there playing other consoles, my Evercade, the Switch, even going back to my 360, other bits and bobs, handheld stuff. The PlayStation 5 was just not resonating with me. Games that I had bought, I was trading in for credit so I could buy other games on Nintendo Switch, and it laid sitting down for a long time doing absolutely zilch, nothing. I made my mind up about the design. The design I still to this day do not like. The Slim is a better version. It's still not all that, you know. The original one is an absolute beast of a console. It's huge. I don't like the shape. I don't know. I tried to give it time, and it just didn't work out for me. Some people love it. My oldest son, he loves it. He wants a PlayStation 5 of his own, and he says it's the best looking console of all time. I get that. If I was his age, he's 10, I'd probably be saying exactly the same thing. I'm not. I'm a lot older, unfortunately, and for me, it's a bit of an eyesore. I wish it was smaller so we could hide it away, and so it didn't have to be seen in all its glory, if that's the word we're going to use. But yeah, I was on a PlayStation hype from day one. I bought one out. I bought the remote. I bought the headphones. I wanted the accessories. I thought all of these stuff were going to be really useful. Turns out I'm never going to use the remote. I traded that thing in quick while I could get maximum profit on it, because I don't sign up to many of these streaming services now. There's alternatives out there. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, where people can watch the same sort of stuff, and I'm not going to be using my PlayStation 5 to do so. So the remote, didn't need it. Traded it in, got my full money back, went and bought another game. Headphones, I've kept them, to be honest with you, because you can use them on other devices, the Pulse headphones. They're not bad, actually. Were they worth the money that I paid for them? Probably not at the time, but that was the only headphone you could get at the time, and they're still not a bad pair of headphones, if I'm honest with you. I'm not looking to get rid of them anytime soon. They do the job if and when I need it. But for me, the PlayStation 5, too many games on the system were not to my personal tastes. And again, that's not really a knock on the system. It's more I've outgrown, or gaming has outgrown my tastes. Whatever way you want to look at it, we're not really in sync anymore. So it took a long time for me to start seeing titles on the shelves that I actually want to start picking up. It has started happening now. My PlayStation 5 collection has started growing ever so, not massively recently, but to the point where I've probably got around 50 to 60 titles. Whereas before I was looking at around about 5 or 6 because I just didn't know what to buy. In fact, there was nothing I wanted to buy. But now you've got lots of indie sort of titles that are getting PlayStation 5 releases. Red Art Games, they're releasing all of their stuff on PlayStation 5 now. I'm kind of going for the RAG Indies subset, so I've got all of those. I'm picking up a few strictly limited games on PlayStation 5 as well. Same with limited run. My preference is always to Switch where possible, but Switch does seem to be the system that these sort of games tend to sell out that much quicker on. So sometimes if you want the game, the PlayStation 5 really is your only option. So I am playing it a lot more than I used to. And also one thing that I have to give the PlayStation 5 huge credit for, that I didn't really take advantage of initially, was the record button. You can literally record footage of you playing your game without using the PC at a touch of 2 buttons. 2 clicks and away you go. Put it on a USB stick, transfer it, and then you can start uploading your footage to whatever sort of social media you care to. That really got me back interested in the PlayStation 5 once I actually realised that that was a possibility. Something I slept on for far too long, and then once I realised just how simple it was, and I started playing a few other games and posting some walkthroughs, some gameplay videos. A lot of the time I would choose the PlayStation 5 if that option was available, just for the sheer simplicity of it. And that kind of got me back into playing my PlayStation 5 more. It was turned on more, and if you've got a multitude of consoles hooked up, you know, if you've got one turned on, it's more than likely you're going to try and play a few games on it. If it's turned off, then you know you're going to have to turn it on. I know it's real hardship, eh, turning on a console, but if you've got like 7 or 8 things hooked up, sometimes it's just easier, if you want to just sit down and play a game, to play the one that you've already been playing for the most recent period of time, if that makes any sense. But yeah, having that option to record the footage started making me explore a lot more. I was always a member of the PlayStation Network, the club type thing, where you get the games that you could play. That was good for recording footage as well, with games that I don't own, have no real intention of owning, or also are very expensive to obtain physically. So it was good for that as well. But again, me and the PlayStation 5, I don't think we gel. We're at different ends of our gaming careers, if you want to call it that. I'm kind of stuck in the past to an extent. I love my retro, I love my modern retro especially, and although there is more stuff coming out on the PlayStation 5 like that now, it's still few and far between. I mentioned it earlier, I touched on it, that the graphical jump is never going to be any greater than what it was probably between the 16-bit era to the 32-bit era, or in and around that sort of time frame, maybe up to the N64. Once you go from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3, there was always a noticeable jump, but it got less noticeable over time. From the PlayStation 3 to the 4, and from the 4 to the 5, I think have been the least significant in terms of how much the jump has been. And I think as well, for me personally, and I've spoken to a lot of other people that tend to agree with me on this one, is one of the things that the PlayStation 5 kind of let itself down on is the over-reliance on continuing to release PlayStation 4 titles for such a long period of time after the initial release of the console itself. Again, I kind of get that, because it was difficult to get hold of a PlayStation 5 from day one. So in order to keep selling units, of games, that is, not the actual consoles. No problem in selling the consoles. You're going to still have to release games. Now, you release PlayStation 5 stuff at a time when there's a drought, you're not going to get the desired sales that Sony or the game people that are making these games anticipate or want. And in this day and age, one bad move with these games, because of the budget, can send a company bankrupt. I miss the days where you could take a risk on a game and it wouldn't cost you your company. I think those days started fizzling out around about the PS3, Xbox 360 time. Because if you look at some of the games that were released back at that time, there's lots of obscure stuff. Not so much from the 4 up to this present day. Yeah, it's still out there, look. Before anyone starts attacking me in the comments, there will always be obscure stuff out there. But it's nowhere near as much as it once was. Another thing that's slightly annoying with the PlayStation 5 is the storage. You know, games are huge these days. And the choice of storage that they chose for you to be able to use, the SSDs, one, it's a pain in the backside to keep replacing because you've got to take off those god awful plates. PlayStation 4, you could buy your third-party hard drives, plug it in, use it for your PlayStation 4 games. Now, you can still use a hard drive on the PlayStation 5, but only to store your PlayStation 4 games. You can't store a PlayStation 5 game on there. Bit, I don't know, I'm sure they'll tell you, Sony, that there's a reason for this. But if you can put a man on the moon, there's a workaway around that. I'm telling you now. So that was another thing I didn't really like, the whole storage thing and their choice and their way of doing things in that sense. I don't know, for me the PlayStation 5 has been a real disappointment. I am still playing it a lot more than I ever used to, as I've said previously in the video. And for that, it's not as much of a disappointment as it once was. Now, we've got to be at least halfway to maybe just over halfway of the system's life cycle being done. We all know that there's plans for Sony to release something in the near future. Whether it be a PlayStation 6, who knows what area or what direction these companies are taking. As you've seen with the PlayStation 5 Pro, it comes without a disc drive. It's optional. So it's clear what they want to do here. They want to go completely digital at one stage and just give you guys the option. It's there, but it's not industry standard to have a physical copy now, which is real unfortunate. I don't think I'll be buying a PlayStation 6 for myself personally when it comes out. There will be one in my household. I've got kids. They'll want it. So I will get to experience it, but it won't be mine. There's no way that I'll be buying one for myself. Now, like anyone, I can be totally persuaded otherwise. Things change, things happen, but that's my current frame of mind right now. That's my last generation of PlayStation that I'll be buying. Now, I'm probably going to be in the minority here, but I have spoken to a lot of people that feel the same way about this current generation. It's not just the PlayStation 5 that I'm disappointed with, it's the same with the Xbox. In fact, there might be even more disappointment with the Series X that you can see up there. But I'll save that for another video down the line. That's a totally different topic altogether because of the way Xbox have handled things. Now, like I say, I think I'm probably done with PlayStation in terms of hardware moving forward. You know, there's been too much disappointment. The PS VR 2 is another example. I was really excited about that when it was first announced. It looked like such a step forward and something that I wanted to get involved in because I do like VR games. They're fun. They're great for the family as well. My whole kids, my whole family, they all loved the original VR. Pain in the backside to set up. Absolutely hated it. More leads and lights in your local Christmas tree when it gets switched on December or whatever date your local area puts the lights on. And the PlayStation VR 2 seemed to resolve that. It was literally plug and play, and to me I was like, at last, I'm going to get something that's just simple. Then you get the news that your original PSVR games are not going to work on the system. That's a red flag straight away. Then the price. Now in general, it was high. I think it was about $450, wasn't it, upon release? Maybe more. Now that does seem like quite a steep price, but when you look at a lot of other VR options out there, it's probably not that bad a price. And I kind of tried to weigh it up looking at it that way. And I was hopeful I would get one. I had a huge voucher at the time and I was going to pick one up at CEX. I was in no rush though. I thought, let me see what happens in terms of software. Now Sony have completely just abandoned this thing. You know, they've seen it as a bit of a failure. They're not taking any risks on this and the software is not forthcoming. You're going to have to rely on your indie developers out there. And indie developers are going to be few and far between for this niche section of gaming, because if only, let's say, 1.5 million units have sold, not every person out of those 1.5 million people are going to purchase your VR game. Now, you're limiting yourself straight away with how many people can potentially buy your game. So what do you make? Do you make a PlayStation VR 2 game? Or do you make a platformer that can work and everyone could potentially buy it? You see my point? It doesn't necessarily have to be a platformer, just something that's not VR based. People are literally strangling themselves in order to put their games out. Now I'll give full credit to anyone that does so. You're keeping that sort of niche gaming area alive. But I don't think Sony have helped you guys out at all. Really haven't. So that's my thoughts on the PlayStation 5 at this current time. I hope my thoughts change. Like I said, I'm playing it a lot more than I used to. I'm buying for it a lot more than I used to. My thoughts haven't changed that much since day one. It's a brilliant console, don't get me wrong. It's just not really catering to me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Like I say, I'm an old guy. What can I say? The PlayStation 5, not necessarily for me. I get why the kids love it. I'm not knocking the console in any way, shape or form in terms of its strengths, its power, that kind of thing. It's just the direction that it's gone in. It's probably completely different to the direction that I'm heading. Anyway guys, thanks for tuning in. If you made it to the end, more power to you. Please take the time to consider subscribing to the channel. We've also got a Facebook group as well that's growing slowly. We've got a really good community over there. I'll leave the link to the description, in the description rather, to that page below. Pop on over, we'd love to have you over there. In the meantime, take care and I'll see you soon.